welcome to another episode of Wealthy with Austin. My name is Austin, in case you haven't guessed, and today I want to go through and talk about some of the experiences of what it was like to own real estate in my first year, what I was expecting versus what it actually turned out to be like. Without further ado, I'll go into what I was expecting. I was hoping for a property that, number one, and this is very important, that the rents, if I were able to fully rent it out in my first year, which I wasn't expecting to because I was going to be living in it, but where the rents would, once I moved out, exceed the mortgage payment and any other costs, ideally. And number two, a property that I could buy, put down the down payment, live in it, move out, and it would just be really low maintenance, take care of itself, no issues, no repairs, potentially something that I could hand off to a landlord to manage for me if I ever had to move out of the country for work or move away. And rude awakening, that was not what this property was like. And I'll just walk you through a little bit of what it was like in its first year. So here we have some pictures of what it was like when I first bought it. These are all chronological. Some of these are actually from the listing itself. You can see very bright pictures, very photoshopped a little bit, which they usually are. But then you go look at it in person, you notice little things here and there that aren't quite up to what you expected it to be. We'll just breeze through this and then go, well, actually I wanted to stop on one of them. This here, this room was just boarded up, a lot of boards along the walls and along the ceilings. Apparently they call it the cabin room. This house was renting out for to two tenants for $850 total per month, and I knew I could get way more than that, so that wasn't a problem. Unfortunately, the mortgage payment was also going to be more than that. So this one I was really worried. I didn't know what was behind these walls and behind the ceilings because I don't trust wood. I asked the person I was buying it from, at least I asked their real estate agent, I said, hey, what's with all the wood? And they said, oh, the cabin room, that's like everyone's favorite house. I did all the testing. I did radon testing, I did mold testing, and everything came back clean. So I did also drug testing, where you can see if it's been used to cook meth. So I guess meth test. Everything came back clean. Those are some expensive tests, but peace of mind there. So I thought, okay, whatever's behind here is probably fine, but I hate this room more than anything else in the house, which is kind of sad because there's not a lot to super love. The windows were very old and very inefficient. Just a brief look. This kitchen area actually is something that we're planning on remodeling right now. And just for some context, the first year of ownership was July 2021 through July 2022. And so all these pictures that I'm showing you are from that time. Hey, I had a beard. One of the first things I did, the neighbor was chatting with me and said, hey, if I could encourage you, please, there's a huge weed tree, cut it down, please. You can actually see some vestiges here of that. And I said, I hate weed trees, I hate trees, well, especially weed trees. So, of course, I'll cut it down. That was a learning experience because I rented a chainsaw from Home Depot and they'd put the chain on backwards. So, of course, I had an audience and it took me 45 minutes to cut through the tree with the chain on backwards. Really embarrassing. Again, just breezing through. This is also in that cabin room. There's a pipe that comes down, a sewage pipe from the bathroom upstairs. I don't know why they painted it red. Kind of horrible. Ended up having to replace the upstairs toilet because the water was not shutting off inside the tank, and there were no replacement tank assemblies for that model. That was also a learning experience. A lot of things I never thought I'd have to learn, especially so early on. There's another view of that pipe, that sewage pipe. that goes down into that cabin room. A shot of a family member. Sometimes people will leave furniture on the street corners that they don't want in their homes anymore, and they'll put little signs that say "free" on it. Well, this was about maybe a block and a half away from where that family member lived, and he thought, rather than borrow someone's truck, I'll just grab a little dolly and wheel it to my house. So I saw him doing that and drove the car alongside him. Really fun. Got a new dryer because the one that we had broke, and so that was $100 and something bucks. And I took the cord off from the old dryer and retrofitted it to the new dryer because it was 3 prongs instead of 4, or vice versa. I don't remember which. The room I was living in had a huge dip in the middle of it. Yeah, some kind of old drain or something. So the flooring was kind of slanted, and I thought, all right, first thing first, I'm gonna fix this. So I took up all the nasty carpet and I decided to self-level it, which, we will see. I'll show you how that went. I didn't want to have all the cement go down the drain, so I covered it with this little garbage can, and then poured around it, and then sawed off the bottom of the garbage can. You can probably see right there. Yep, it's stuck in there right now, and then I'll come back and saw off the rest of it so that it's pretty flat. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough to make the whole room flat, so I ended up pouring a few other layers of self-leveling cement. Also, fun fact, behind this wall, so here's the floor. Behind this wall was the water line to the house, and there was a leak coming from one of the joints. So I had you can see the leak right here, which is really weird and unfortunate because, I just bought the place a couple months earlier. Had a plumber come out and fix that. That set me back a few $100, maybe $500 extra. But no leak so far. Moving right along, you can see a lot of tenants' stuff, furniture, a lot of their stuff that they leave behind when they move out, and then that broken washer just hanging out underneath the overhang. Glorious lawn that I got to mow. I didn't actually buy a lawnmower for this place until maybe a year or so later. I just borrowed a family member's lawnmower, which was a pain to have to get over there every time I wanted to mow. But I signed up for it, so it's all fine. Once the cement had dried up sufficiently, I learned how to put down LVP, luxury vinyl planking, and you can see it turned out pretty good, especially for a first attempt. I had to redo the baseboards, so I got new baseboards, cut them, and put them in place. All these things were pretty new experiences for me, and I was not new to this whole idea of renovating, remodeling. So naturally, while I was redoing my room, I took a picture for my brother to see if he wanted that couch too. He did not. So it was a joke. All of my stuff and was up out in the living room for that time. The downstairs living room. Luckily, there was 2 living rooms, and my other roommates did not mind. I was sleeping out in the living room for a few nights as well. I guess I'd shaved by that point. Did some repainting, threw in a new light fixture, and I actually moved my downstairs roommate into this room So that's some of his stuff because, spoiler alert, his room, the cabin room, started leaking water from right underneath where a window was, a small window. So I took that opportunity to just rip out his carpet and start to get to the source of things, rip out part of the wood paneling and see where the leak was coming from. And yeah, that was a fun experience, taking out every little nail that they'd used and seeing what the condition was of the exterior, of the interior of the foundation, and below the window where the leak was coming from. I didn't know if it was coming through the window itself, through the framing, through the foundation. There was holes in the foundation. I had no idea what was going on. I got some quotes to quote unquote fix the foundation. There was some small cracks. That would have been a couple $1,000s, and I wasn't sure that it would even fix it. There was no guarantees. So yeah, that's when I decided that I wanted to eventually make that window bigger anyway. So I decided to cut out, or have someone give me a quote for cutting out the rest of the bottom of the window, and I ended up ordering that. And well, spoiler alert, I won't spoil it for you. I'll show you what actually ended up happening. Oh gosh. Also, we had some power issues. The power went out to part of the downstairs of the house for a few days, and I didn't think much of it. Tried some stuff to fix it, but me being no electrician, that didn't go too well. So I ended up calling my electrician, and he got some of his guys out to, well, right there, they're actually hooking up a power generator into the house's power so that we can maintain power. What happened was essentially the electrician came over and saw sparks behind the electrical panel, and somewhere between the electrical panel and the city's electric meter, and said, all right, this is something that I am going to need to get the city involved in. So they got the city involved, and the city took one look at it and said, this is a huge safety hazard, we're going to shut off the electricity ASAP. So they shut off the electricity right then, meaning that I had to pay for emergency electrical services, which they weren't going to be able to do for a couple days, or maybe they did it the next day, I can't remember. Meantime, they installed a power generator, which also set me back quite a bit to make sure that the house did not undergo too much pain, so that the refrigerator could continue functioning, so that the water heater could continue functioning, and so that well, I think we turned off a lot of circuits, but basically so the pipes wouldn't freeze. Fun fact, this was in the middle of winter. Finally got that behind us. That was about $4,000 or $5,000, and took a lot more than I thought it would. Here's another shot of the cabin room. One of the walls by a black structural pillar, which is, by the way, this is the room I'm sitting in now. Lath and plaster. I took care of that. Dirty work, but you really got to get all the plaster out. Don't have to get it all out between the lath, but it helps, especially when you're going to be putting drywall on top. So did some electrical work in that room, just in preparation for being able to put it back together. There was only like 2 outlets, so did a lot of outlets, a lot of new lighting. Ended up doing some self-leveling cement in that room. Again, going pretty quickly. You can see it start to come together. We've got some sheetrock going up. Yeah, this one's actually not too bad. This whole section we finally got sheetrock up, not to the point where we could start mudding, but just enough. And started framing out around where some of these HVAC things are, and around some of the beams and some of the pipes, and obviously some of the electrical boxes that we had created. Fun little room. Just took a lot more work than I thought it would. I'd hoped not to touch it ever, but you get one little leak and then suddenly you got to take things apart. So, and then once we were done with, at least with boarding up that section of the room to the point where I could then move into that room, I decided to take care of the downstairs living room and emptied all that furniture out into my bedroom. And as you can see, this is the room with my furniture in it and some excess furniture, especially living room furniture. And this is my bed, in case you couldn't tell, and my laundry. Don't look too closely. That's where I slept for 2-3 months. I was also dating at the time and in the process of getting engaged, so we spent a lot of our time hanging out at her house, in case you can't tell. This is the rest of the room, just out towards the entrance. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Poured some cement in the living area, and then did LVP there. As you can see, had some to do a little extra work on the baseboards. And then back to the cabin room, where the window something just kept leaking around here. So I got some quotes, got some people to come out and eventually actually cut the thing, cut the rest of the window frame out so that we could put a new, bigger window in that would comply with city standards in terms of egress windows. Just checking up on some things in the kitchen, cleaning inspections for the other tenants. This was fun. Tried to, in the downstairs living room, tried to put some canned lighting, but had some issues getting the things wired correctly. That was fun. Ooh, look at that lawn. First snow of the season, I think. That's what the junction box looked like for all 4 of those lights, those can lights. Here's my, I'll just say relative for now, helping out. He's a hobbyist / pro at all these things, and I was really lucky to be able to glean on his expertise. So finally got the lighting figured out. Look at that. It's not blinking anymore. Give that a thumbs up. And then here's me starting to dig around the window that we're going to be expanding down beneath. The start of it, I had to get it dug by the next day, so here's me at about 3 a.m. just digging. It ended up being like 3 or 4 feet. I can't remember how long or how far exactly, but luckily the ground was pretty soft. And then they came and they cut. So it's actually a really big opening now. And then they put in the window. A little ad for Jones Paint and Glass. And then I got to backfill it with dirt. And now there's just a big mountain of dirt out in the back, as you can see right here. So, got a hold of one of the rooms upstairs. One of the tenants was moving out, so I took the opportunity to, for a couple of days, just patch up the room a little bit, and then, patch up some holes, and then paint it. Looks a little better, but you can't really tell. The windows are really, really old. And then there was another leak that I discovered downstairs. Oh man. Was able to fix that. It ended up being coming from the corner of where they'd cut the window. They cut it far, but hadn't had a chance to caulk it. Actually, if you look closely, you can see all the way through. I don't know if I have a picture of that. You can see all the way through the house. So anyway, I sealed up that corner, and I think it was down here. From the outside, from the inside, from every side, and did not experience any more moisture. And then a few weeks after that, oh yeah. So behind the bathtub upstairs, we had some water leakage every time the shower was on. So that was coming down and also causing a leak in that stupid cabin room. Got that taken care of. Probably $3, $4, $5 more $100. Put in some new lighting. I was pretty exhausted, as you can see. Put insulation in. Had a personal injury. Covered up all of the framing that we'd done. And by the way, in all this, I wasn't alone in my efforts. I had help. I have family nearby, and they were very generous with their time. As they have needs, I help them. I have needs, they help me. So the love just goes round and round, as family, helping families should. So started mudding, and then painting. That's the ceiling from down below. It doesn't look too shabby. And then poured some more self-leveling cement. Painted this stupid sewer pipe white, and threw down some LVP, same as in all the other downstairs rooms. And this is before any baseboard. And then this is after. This is kind of the setup once the tenant moved in a couple days later. He made it his own, which was great. So, there's another shot of what that room looked like at the end. Did not anticipate having to do all that within the first year of owning it, but what a headache, what a pain. This house, for some context, is 83 years old, 82, 81, somewhere in the 80s of years old. So not too old, not too new. I own another house. I'm not going to go through that right now, but that's a 100-year-old house. So I thought, oh no, please don't be as bad, or even potentially worse than this 80-year-old house. And luckily, my goodness, it has not been. But definitely some lessons learned from first year of ownership. Don't go in expecting everything to work out perfectly. In fact, if I hadn't had some serious money in reserves, I would have been just stressing the entire time. I had 2-3 plumbing problems. I had some thousands of dollars of electrical problems. I had thousands of dollars of just superficial repairs that luckily I was able to save a lot of money on by doing the labor myself, and having some help with that. But don't. And I didn't come into this thing thinking, all right, I'm going to just completely overhaul the downstairs. I did not want to do any of that. I just wanted it to look the same and to keep renting out. But that's not what happened. So within the first year, I can probably add it up, but I think I spent around $17,000 on repairs, on upgrades, on maintenance. And yeah, the downstairs looks completely different now. It looks completely new, and it is completely new, but still expensive. Luckily, I had enough of a margin in my income versus my living expenses to where I could afford to do something like this. I was living on somewhere between 10 and 20% of my income, which, by the way, was not substantial. I was making around $52,000 a year. It took me around 6 months to save up a down payment for the place. Used virtually all of my cash to put the down payment down, and then luckily was able to just chunk aside, $2,000 a month towards, savings, which ended up turning into house repair, house maintenance, house improvement. So if I could tell myself, from the past to do one thing, maybe look for a different house that is a little bit newer. And again, I thought I could do anything. Then again, I didn't know how to do anything that I ended up doing on this house. So if you're in the market and thinking, okay, what kind of house do I want? If it excites you, the prospect of fixing something up, then make sure you have enough money to actually fix it up. If you actually value your time that you spend with people after work, or with working on hobbies or activities outside of real estate after work, then you're going to hate every moment of your life maintaining and fixing something up that you bought just because it happened to be the only thing you could buy at the time. So, do I have regrets? No, not really. I did the best that I could with the time and opportunity that I had. But I am someone that does like to spend my time after work actually working on things that are going to increase my net worth. So if it wouldn't have been house related, it would have been something else related, and maybe that something else would have increased my net worth more. Maybe not, but some things to think about. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I think on my next video I'll probably go through the other house that my wife and I bought, and that is a 100-year-old house, and I'll talk about some of the changes, some of the upgrades, some of the repairs, and some serious scares that we had with that one. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'll be happy to elaborate. Thanks, and have a nice one.